Welcome to another edition of Teach the Geek Interviews. My name is Neil Thompson. I'm the founder of Teach the Geek. It's an online platform for science and engineering professionals. The first offering of the platform is a public speaking course called Teach the Geek to Speak. To learn more about it, you can go to teachthegeek.com. Again, that's teachthegeek.com. Today, my guest is Oscar Santolalla, and he's a podcaster, he's an author, he's also an engineer. On his podcast, Time to Shine, he has interviewed over 150 people on public speaking. His book is called Create and Deliver, a Killer Product Demo, and he works as a sales engineer where I'm sure public speaking comes in handy. I'm really interested to learn more about how he ended up in Finland after growing up in Peru, his motivation for starting his podcast and writing his book, and his work as an engineer. Welcome to Teach the Geek Interviews, Oscar.
Hi Neil, and hi everybody. Thanks for having me. It's fantastic being with you.
Wonderful. So I mentioned in the intro that you're an engineer and you studied electronics engineering in school. What was the motivation to study that?
Okay, yes. Well, when I was a kid, I was good at maths. I would say I was good at maths and some science. So that was the first motivation. So actually, when I finished the school, it was not very clear to me what to study, but kind of follow the others. So most of the smartest guy studies some engineering, and I say, okay, well, I will try the same. And when I started looking for more, I found that electronics was interesting to me, so I follow that path.
All right, and I also saw that you got a master's in mobile computing. I didn't even know there was such a thing. What did that master's entail, and what was the motivation to do that?
Yes. So then I graduated electronics, but at that time the focus was more telecommunication networking. So I explored this networking, and among this, one subtopic that interested me more was actually security, network security, information security. And so I started looking for ways to specialize myself outside Peru. And that's how I found the master I study, was mastering mobile computer services and security. So both, that's the main reason I chose that one. So it's combined about mobile computing and security. And I gained a scholarship and I came to Finland. So mobile computing is part of what all the mobile services is like. For instance, location-based services. Mostly the part that is in the background about mobile, the things that you don't see on the mobile app, the things that work in the background about networking protocols, services. This is about mobile computing, and we are using a lot in this time. In every single application we use today is not is not running. But one part is running on a mobile phone, but the biggest part is running behind that in some network. So.
Oh, okay. So you actually ended up in Finland because of a scholarship. What made you even decide to apply to a school in Finland?
Yes, well, I wanted to choose a country that was definitely different, quite different. First of all, not speaking Spanish, and then not so close. So I started looking for places where telecommunication, information security were strong, and definitely Finland was still one of the top countries in those fields. I was lucky to find some people, some lecturers who went abroad, study, came back, and had this perspective to tell me, okay, Finland is a good choice, and applied there. And I was lucky to get a scholarship, so I came here, and that's how my life has continued until now.
Okay, so you spoke to people that had studied abroad, but then they came back. But obviously, you didn't go back. You stayed in Finland. Was that always the plan, or did you just like it so much you decided to stay?
Was not the plan, definitely. So the master was for 2 years. So I was, the logical way was to come back. But I like the country a lot. I like the society, how things work in terms of instead of technology. For instance, things are super simple. When I came here, for instance, every procedures in the government are mostly very automated, digital. Things I see a big change compared what is back home. So that also is part of that I liked. I like the society, and of course the opportunities to keep working in the technology arena. So those are the things that led me to continue working here, spending time here, and yes.
So when you I don't know if I remember this correctly, but when you graduated from your undergraduate degree, did you start working immediately, or did you go directly into your master's program in Finland?
No, I spent a few years. Mostly I work in network administration, technical support, that type of roles. Also a bit of information security, and also I was a lecturer in my university. So I spent like 4 or 5 years before moving to starting a master in Finland.
Okay, so how did the jobs that you did before your master's differ from the ones you did afterwards?
Yes, the main differences is that in back, I was using the technology, configuring services or securing people, helping people in the IT side. But here in Finland, there's the opportunity of build that technology. So being able to develop the product, to develop the software, to develop the hardware, to build products. So that's the big differences, and that's also, of course, something that attract me to do more, because before coming to Finland, I also have this idea of building products. So that's also somehow aligned to these still vague wishes, but yeah.
Did you have to learn Finland to be able to stay in, I guess, comfortably and be able to live there?
You mean to speak Finnish?
Yeah, speak Finnish. Yeah.
Well, I speak some, not fluently. So that's not my main, the main language I use. I use mostly English, because also the work is the official language for the work is English. Actually, it's international. It's a Finnish company, but international. So yeah, so it's official language.
Oh, okay. I was kind of curious about that, because when you move to the country where English isn't maybe not the national language, and it's not the language that your natively speak. I mean, are you expected to learn that language to be able to just do regular things like go to the grocery store or go to the bank and stuff like that? But you said you can get by knowing English?
Yes, many things. For many things, yes, except especially in the main cities. I'm Helsinki, in the capital. Yes, so I definitely understand some Finnish. I can speak a bit. I can read a lot. So I definitely managed to do most of the things I need.
And then your master's program, was that in English too, or was that in Finnish?
It was an international master, so it was in English with very few courses only in Finnish. Yeah, so English mostly, yes.
Okay, cool. So I mentioned that you work as a sales engineer. What exactly does a sales engineer do?
So we are part of sales engineer is a specific role. It's a technical role, but requires also it's always part of the sales organization, part of the whole sales organization. So the thing is that when a company is like Secure, like company is selling complex software, normally is also called enterprise software. So software that you don't just show to the customer and you give a demo, you give a presentation, and the customer will say, okay, I buy it and I install it. Now it's not like that. It's much more complex. So it requires integration with other software. Other existing software can be software such as cloud services, CRMs, completely different software that are existing, needs to integrate that, and the process is long. So in this sales process, the seller always requires that a technical specialist is able to for instance, build a product demonstration, build a pilot or proof of concept, can also answer very specific technical questions from the customers, from the technical side of the customer. So that's the main role of the sales engineer, help to the sales organization to tackle these technical hurdles in selling the product.
So you started off in, I'm assuming, predominantly in technical roles, but now you work in this kind of hybrid technical sales role. Is that something that you aspired to do, or just kind of something that happened?
Oh, that's I would say it's an evolution because, of course, all the roles that I did for this, let's say the first 7 years I've been working were technical, specialists configuring things or even developing, researching. So all technical, being a technical, solving problems. So that's like the mindset, solving problems and configuring stuff. But later, and that's also how I came into the writing the book and the podcast, is that I discovered also genuine interest in communications. Actually, as I mentioned, in the last 2 years before coming to Finland, I was a lecturer at my university. So I was already getting exposed to this communication. And the things came gradually like that. So of course, I never expect how this type of role, sales engineer, but the things were merging through the times.
What was the motivation for you writing your book? And then also, what do you hope people get out of it?
Mm-hmm. Yes. My motivation, okay, I have 2 books now. Now one is almost ready, but the first one that I already completed is published. The first one is create and deliver a killer product demo. So it's about, the key term is product demos, product demonstrations. First of all, I got inspired by seeing in talks, in keynotes, how some executives, entrepreneurs, and also technical people in this technology arena, they show their products. Normally, product launches is a typical time. Sometimes it's a startup pitch. Also, they show some demos, and there are also some technical sessions. But in this, I really got inspired how people like, well, in the past, Steve Jobs, today Elon Musk, Panos Panay from Microsoft. This guy do really amazing product demonstrations, and first of all, it was like, oh, this is super cool. I want to watch more. But then I took the time to analyze what made them effective, what made them really inspiring for others. So that's how I started doing, analyzing many of these pro demos, and also that's also the moment when I realized, when I started doing more research about product demonstrations, that many product demonstrations are done not in public but in private. When you visit a customer, like the job that I do today, visit a customer, you have to do a demo. So that happens. So I analyze I would say almost all the possible situations for product demonstration, and I wrote this book giving examples and also giving a tactical advice how to do product demos that are effective and also inspiring. So that's what I wish for the people who are reading this book, that either you are a technical specialist or an executive, a product demonstration can be a very strong tool for persuading people to buy your product or to follow your cause or to try your technology, try your software.
All right, and so you have a book now, and a book that's in process. We're in different times in COVID. How are you going about promoting the book?
Yes, that's it's things changed about the book. So the next book is called Rock the Tech Stage. First of all, it's a wider audience because it appeals to everybody who is speaking in the technology arena. Also, any possible role you are in technology arena speaking. But as you said, things have changed. So most of people are going to speak online, like now, majority of the cases online. So also we have a chapter dedicated to that, the virtual tech stage. So there's a chapter about that. How I'm going to spread the word about this book. Well, luckily the publisher I'm working with, who is called A Press, they have already a big solid presence with IT people, developers, and people who are already buying, and they are used to buy online. So So they have a big audience for that, and of course, I will spread the word anywhere I can, definitely, so it can reach more and more people.
Yeah, for sure. And then I also mentioned in the intro that you have a podcast, Time to Shine. What was the motivation for developing that podcast? And what do you typically talk to the guests about?
Mm. Yes, the podcast was that came from, let's say, a hobby, an interest. I like listening to podcasts for many years, at least from 2008. I remember myself listening to podcasts. I remember I used to have this tiny, you remember this iPod Shuffle, the very little iPod that without a screen that you put, just plug it here. So I had it there. I remember I had that one, and I was listening to. I connected to iTunes, and there I found the podcasts, and there were definitely not as many as today, but there were quite many. I like to be listening to those. So for many years I was listening to podcasts, many podcasts, different types, business, technology, sports, anything that I called my interest. And then one day I had the idea, well, actually I like this, and as I'm starting to get interested in communication, can I create a podcast? That was in 2014. I remember about a very small, I looked for books, how to create a podcast. I found one, I read it, and I said, well, actually, yeah, there's stuff I have to learn, but yeah, I can do this. So I decided to do it. And the topic I decided to do was public speaking, because that was one of my interests at that time. And I was not consider myself an expert at all at that time. I decided to interview people. So that's how it started. I started interviewing people gradually from a network, asking, recommend me some people, etc. And gradually it continued building. What I like to ask in these interviews is I like to always decide a specific topic in advance, narrow. So we talk about that, and I ask, what is your piece of advice or your experience stories? I always like to ask for stories or concrete examples. Okay, this is a storytelling for technology. Tell me concrete examples, or yeah, this is what I like a lot. People to tell me.
Yeah, okay, cool. I know that you're also a speaker. I mean, I mentioned that earlier. What kind of topics do you like to speak on?
Well, in two aspects. One is related to the work I do. I'm science engineers in the area. The domain is called digital identity. That is part of cybersecurity. My original interest to study at the master. So sometimes I speak about that, representing a company, some different events now, well, webinars or things like that. And the other, that's technical, a bit combined with business. And the other, of course, is about public speaking and communication. The same, I try to find different angles so people are interested in. For instance, lately I was talking about the use of props in public speaking. So different angles and metaphors. I remember sometime I was talking about metaphors. So different angles related to public speaking. Those are the two main themes that I usually speak to.
Okay. If public speaking isn't something that you've always been effective at, what have you done to become better at it?
Quite a few things, of course. I read many books, I have to say. When I start being more interested, I read many books. Then of course, it's a lot about the practice as much as I could. I am a member of Toastmasters International since, I think, 2012 or something like that. So that helped me to keep practicing regularly. So practicing is super important, of course, and practicing reading. By interviewing people in my podcast, I always ask very specific questions, something that came to my mind, how do I do this? How should I do this? So I've been learning from talking with people who have more experience. Also, that's super beneficial. And of course, that connects to the role models. So always have these speakers that I like, and I will follow and see their talks and analyze their talks. So that's super important. Of course, having this attitude of learning is super important. Attitude of learning and practicing a lot. There's no substitute for practicing, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a process that you go through or that you do to put your presentations together? And if so, what is it?
Yes, personally, yeah, let's say what I try to build is first one, as I said, one main topic. Of if the topic is given, try to have a let's say if I can write the idea in 1 or 2 lines. So this is the message that I want. That's first of all. So then I try to find examples and stories, either my own stories or also concrete stories from someone else. And that takes some time. So there's some research. I have to find who did this topic, who our metaphors, so who did a great metaphor in the technology industry and in which situations. Some research about that. I found it, okay, good. Then I can invent one metaphor, or once I have that, I do some basic structure, and then I put some words. So I also put effort to use the right words. Maybe not the whole script, maybe the whole 30 minutes, 20 minutes, but at least the key parts. I should have a good opener. So the very clear text for the opener. When I transition with the main points also, and the closing also. So there are some phrases and keywords that I can repeat, reiterate, so people will remember that. So I was trying to use that, rhetoric, try to find the right words for the right moment. Try to use metaphor if I found someone. So, and then if needed, I have to create the visuals, the PowerPoint. So that will come towards the end, when again the good visual that support us. Very often, as I often give examples of this person did this product demonstration that time, so I have to find a photo of, let's say, Elon Musk doing specifically that in that event. Sometimes I have to find the right photos. Of course, I have to take care of the copyright, this kind of thing. So it's also a task, a task that takes time to find the right material that you can show that and illustrate what you want to tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, in the end, it's just, in the rest is just practicing, of course, as much as I can. In practicing, one last tip that I do is recording myself. So I record myself, the audio typically. I record the audio after it's ready, completely ready. I record the audio and I listen to that, because, well, now I'm not commuting, but typically when I commute or when I go shopping to the grocery, I listen to my recordings. So it will help me to stay in my memory. So the next time is already there. So practicing recording and improving until it's good.
Do you ever get nervous before a presentation? And if so, how do you deal with your nerves?
Yeah, not so much, to be honest, but sometimes it happens. Sometimes you don't never know. Sometimes it's a very important event and I'm quite relaxed. Sometimes it's less important, or less small number of people, and I'm nervous. So it's one thing that helps definitely is rehearsal, for sure. If you already have rehearsed, that already help you. There's one in TED. There's one animation video talks about, especially fear of speaking, and they say actually that one of the most important things is rehearsal. Huge number of hours of rehearsal, and that creates the metaphor is that it creates a backup drive for you. So rehearsal, practicing a lot is your backup drive for if something happens, because you can be well prepared and in the middle of the talk there can be some distraction, some noise, heckler, whatever, and you have to come back to the to your plan. And of course, at the very beginning of the talk, when you are the last minute before the talk, it's important to find a way to calm down yourself. So it's important you have some ritual, you do something there. Myself, I aim to just to deep breathing, just to calm down like that. But different people behave different ways. But it's important. I think it's important to have some ritual in the last minute before the talk.
Yeah, you've offered some really great tips to help people get better at public speaking, Oscar. I'm a big fan of using stories and technical presentations because it helps to keep people's attention. Because these talks can be full of a lot of data, a lot of jargon, just a lot of boring stuff. But if you're able to intersperse stories into that, I think you're more likely to engage people and have them actually listen to what you're saying. So I'm a firm believer in that. And of course, practicing. You don't get better at public speaking or anything for that matter without practicing, because practice makes progress. And then studying other people that do it, or at least people that you admire that do public speaking, you can take from things that they do and incorporate that into your own speaking. So I think that's a great tip. And then also recording yourself. I think that's helpful too, because you get to hear things that you like about what you're saying, and then even things that you want to improve on. Those are all really great tips. Mm-hmm. Being someone that is from Peru, so I'm guessing Spanish is your first language, but I'm guessing a lot of the work that you have to do, a lot of the presentations that you have to do are in English. And I'm sure people that are listening, perhaps they have to do presentations in a non-native language. Are there any other tips that you would offer for those type of people?
Yeah, correct. My mother tongue is Spanish, correct. Mostly I speak English these days. Yeah, certainly it's, you have to be able, one thing is I always try to improve the language. So if I'm reading something and I don't understand one word, so I go in and check the not only the definition, but also the pronunciation. So it might be that today I maybe two mistakes in pronunciation in 2 words, but if I know that, I'm always persistent to make sure that no, next time I'm not going to make the mistake, because some people make the mistake again. So that's not the way. So you have to made a mistake now and correct yourself. Next time you're going to do well. That's very important. And another thing is when you speak, try to speak calmly, emphasize the words you're saying, because that is super important. Stress when you have to stress the word, take your pauses. So that is very important for any people who are not native.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been really interesting learning more about you, Oscar. How can people get in touch with you?
Sure. I'm available in Twitter or in LinkedIn. You find me. Well, Twitter is O Santolalla, OSANTOLALLA. LinkedIn, you will find me as Oscar Santolalla. If you search there, that's the main places to find me. And well, just announced that my coming book is going to be early December. It's going to be available in all the places. My publisher is apress.com. And there will be a website, rockthetechstage.com. So you will be able to find it there. I'll be happy to, anybody can contact me in LinkedIn for anything. I'll be really happy to know you and to discuss anything.
Wonderful. Well, everyone, that marks the end of another edition of Teach the Geek Interviews. My name is Neil Thompson. I'm the founder of Teach the Geek. It's an online platform for science and engineering professionals. The first offering is Teach the Geek to Speak. It's an online public speaking course. You can learn more about it at teachthegeek.com. Again, that's teachthegeek.com. Until next time, take care and stay safe. Thanks, Oscar.
Thank you.